That's the thing. And also I would go further and I would say hiring a person with a disability, actually there are certain assets that we bring to the table because of our disabilities. Number one, because we don't do things exactly the same as everybody else, we tend to think outside the box constantly, right? So we're already in that mindset of how can we do things the best way to do it, not necessarily how it's always been done, but what's the best way to do it. And it's not always going to be how we've always done it, right?
I know your current role has you working in science communication for exploring life beyond Earth. Could you elaborate on what kind of work you're currently doing? I mean, that sounds super impressive, but what does that entail in terms of day-to-day work?
This is actually my first experience working in science communications because I have an engineering degree and I started out in that way back when at Kennedy. And so this opportunity came up to work at NASA headquarters. It's been a really amazing experience for me because it's my first time I've been able to work in the search for life. I'm always fascinated about the possibility of life in the universe. And I do believe there is, but I just, up until now, I had no idea really how much NASA has really done in that search. What I've learned over this year is it's done a lot. Astrobiology itself is just growing. It's growing a lot every day. And when I went to my first AbSciCon Astrobiology Science Conference, which was held last June, I was amazed at, number one, the diversity of the group. It was just like people from all cultures and ages. It was nice to see that in a science community. It's very open and accepting, and it's an exciting field. Searching for life beyond Earth it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. I think over the years we've done a lot, and we've learned, especially like with Mars, there are so many spacecraft and rovers there. We're learning a lot every day, it's been exciting meeting the people, the experts in the field, and in creating the roadmap that we have for how NASA should handle an announcement. That was a real exciting activity for me to meet the experts and to hear them talking about the challenges and their experiences and how we could do it better.
So you think there is life in
My
that?
personal belief, not NASA, my personal belief is there is life out there because the universe is so vast, right? I mean, just our galaxy is huge, and then everything else, all the other galaxies out there, all the other stars and planets. And so to me, I just can't believe we're the only ones in the whole universe. I feel like it's a little bit arrogant to think that we would be when there's so much space out there.
When can we move into Mars?
um, I think we're far off from living in Mars, in my personal opinion. I'm not speaking as NASA, okay? It's just from my personal opinion. So right now, what we're doing is NASA's looking at going to the moon first. We're going to go back to the moon and stay. So we're going to sustain being there. And then we're going to use the moon as a stepping stone to get to Mars. There's a lot of challenges right now, a lot of really great challenges to go into Mars and live in there. And the good thing is NASA has done a great job looking at all of what's needed. I have a number of years working for the Human Research Program, and their whole focus is on how do you minimize the risk to space exploration. So a lot of that is looking at, the effects of space radiation on the body, the effects of distorted sleep patterns, and how do you build a good team, that's going to go to Mars and not want to kill each other once they get up there. So there's a lot of things that you have to think of when you explore space, and it's not an easy thing. I think NASA has a good handle on what sorts of things to consider in order to minimize that risk as much as possible. Got my arms at 2, my chair at 3, and hand controls at 16. So growing up, I realized this dependency on technology. One thing that always bothered me growing up is because of my very visible disability, people tend to patronize me, right? They just base it on my looks. Oh, poor thing, you can't do anything for yourself, type of thing. I knew growing up, I wanted to get a job that I could support myself and that I could afford the stuff that I need. Engineering was a great field, I thought, because I could support myself, get the stuff I need, and also if there was something I needed that I didn't have, or maybe something that wasn't quite right, I thought being a mechanical engineer could help me to make it better. The cool thing about my disability, being in a wheelchair, is that I could leave my arms on the back of my chair and I could put them on when I need them. Up into my mid 30s, whenever I was in public, I wore them all the time. And they're helpful for reaching stuff. When I was really young, I was wanting to be an astronaut because I thought, what a cool job. As I got older, I focused a little more on engineering, mechanical engineering. The thing that I'm most proud of is that here we are. We have our challenges, right, due to our disability every day, just to get through very basic daily living activities. And we do it, and then we still go out and we accomplish and we do stuff. I'm not the only disabled person at NASA who has had great accomplishments. There's many, many people. There's a woman down at Armstrong Flight Research Center, and she's a deaf individual, and she's in a very mission critical role. There's lots of us all over the agency, and in addition, there's a lot of people with disabilities doing great things in whatever job, not just government. And my main message is whatever you want to do, whether it's work for the government or not, just do it. And don't let what other people think or say about you, don't let that affect you at all. You just have to learn to not listen to that, because there's going to be a lot of it. There's going to be a lot of chatter in the background saying, oh, they can't do that, or oh, they're getting that job only because of that. In the end, however you get your job, as long as you have to produce. When you get a job, you have to be productive and you have to do things and prove people wrong, that you're worth every other person at that place, and even probably even more because you'll try harder. The biggest challenge is just people, because of their stereotypes about disability, about our abilities and what we can and can't do, they're going to not give us opportunities. So the biggest challenge as a person with a disability is communicating the fact that, yes, we do know what we're doing. There's a lot of myths surrounding hiring people with disabilities in the work field, right? All these things about, oh, they miss work a lot, they do this a lot, they're that a lot. And there's been studies done to show, yes, some people in our community do that, but they don't do it any more than the non-disabled community. That's the thing. And also, I would go further, and I would say hiring a person with a disability, actually, there are certain assets that we bring to the table because of our disabilities. Number one, because we don't do things exactly the same as everybody else, we tend to think outside the box constantly, right? So we're already in that mindset of how can we do things, the best way to do it, not necessarily how it's always been done, but what's the best way to do it? And it's not always going to be how we've always done it, right? A lot of us tend to be really good planners. We're really good planners, because if we don't plan out stuff, we end up getting screwed later on down the road. And so, like me in particular, just as a simple example, I was going on a holiday trip, and I was going to stop at 3 different places during the holiday, right? And so I needed stuff packed in my van a certain way, because the first night I need access to this, the second night I need access to that. So it had to be packed very specifically. Whereas other people just throw everything in the car, we can't do that. We need to plan it out. For project management, planning is one of the key things that they always try and drill in the people's head, is to plan. So I think the biggest challenge is we just need to be vocal. We need to speak up when things are being done, when they're not being done. If we're in a workplace and somebody else is being mistreated, we all should speak up. And this is for not just disability, but for any marginalized group that's being discriminated against. If other people who see it happening said something, it would not happen as often as it does. That's for sure. We're all here to help each other through life. And so when we see injustices being done, we need to help fix that. Even if you don't see it as affecting you, because any injustice is an injustice for all of us.